and that is the Weslaco East Wildcat Regiment Drumline. How a big hand for these guys coming out here. And we brought out the Drumline. We're also going to bring out some of the drum majors for the Wildcat Regiment because it is Pigskin, which is coming up next week for the bands across the rural Grand Valley and the state of Texas. So we'll talk more about that. We do have a big game going on here at Wildcat Stadium as Harlingen, the Cardinals, are in town to take on the Wildcats. Carlos Robledo along with Mike Gonzalez. And Mike, I know it's going to be a good game. We're going to talk about the football game, the Pigskin. But first of all, let's talk about the band Pigskin as we bring in our drum majors from the Wildcat Regiment. And we have here Liv Sanchez.
How you doing? Come on in.
She's coming up on board. Also, we have Alyssa Aguilar. They'll be sitting
Alyssa,
down
how
right
are
next
you?
to us. Hello,
Jacob.
girls. And Jacob Blas. And guys, go ahead and grab a microphone. And we'll start off with you first, Elizabeth. Just tell us, you guys have been working so hard since, August, September, actually even before that, June. How does it feel to finally, next week, you get to put on your show?
It's very scary because, the time went by really fast. Right in June, I was like, okay, we're starting, and then, it's October now, and Pigskin's in a week. I'm very confident with our band, but I'm really scared too.
For those that don't know, Pigskin and area and state, that's like the playoffs, football, for the ones that are football fans. So this is a very important time for you guys. You guys have worked really hard. Now the time has come. What I want to know is, what is this week going to be like for you guys leading up to the competition?
It's going to be a very tough week. It's going to be a lot of yelling, a lot of pushing, a lot of runs, and a lot of cleaning up to do.
Sounds like football practice.
No, we're harder.
Alyssa, tell us a little bit now. You guys want to get that one. Of course, you're always looking to get that Division I and advance to the next round of competition. Can you guys bring home that Division I this year?
Oh, yes. I believe that we have the right attitudes, and with everybody thinking that this is the way to go and being confident in what they're doing, I believe we really can bring a Division I.
Jacob, how do you feel about it? Let's just pass the mic back there to Jacob real quick.
Oh yeah, I'm super excited. We tell the band every day, if they set their mind to things, if they believe in things, if they work hard, there's no doubt that we can for sure get a Division I at Pigskin and obviously go to state afterwards.
Jacob, as the head drum major, you guys have done a Bocelli, I believe is how you pronounce it, right? The name of the show is Bocelli.
Yes.
As a lead drum major, kind of talk about how you guys have looked overall and how far along you guys have come within the last month.
Coming over the last month, we've gone to a couple competitions. We have another one tomorrow in Donna. We've really improved. I've seen the band really step it up, especially coming closer to Pigskin. We're really working hard, and they're really bringing the story of Bocelli to life. And it's exciting to be up there on the podium. I know these two get excited too. To see the story come to life in front of you, it's amazing. And I'm very proud of the band.
What about the talent? Do you guys have the talent this year? Because I know Ron Bissett, your all's director, has talked about, yes, this could be the year that Weslaco East finally goes to state and band. They haven't been to state yet, relatively young school, but can this be the year that you guys not only get that Division I, but move on to state as well?
Definitely.
Don't everybody talk at once now.
Well, last year there was a lot of good scores from both the middle schools and the high schools, so I'm very confident in our talent. All the bands got ones, sweepstakes for the middle schools.
Nice.
And the second band got ones, and then the first band did too, so we did really good. Music-wise, we're really talented.
When we were over there in August, we did documentary, behind the scenes with you guys. We talked to Mr. Bissett, and one of the things he told us was, you guys have been very successful in concerts and in jazz band and all that good stuff. You guys do have the ability to go all the way to state. How does it make you all feel to have a band director with that much confidence with you guys?
All of us?
All of us. Whoever wants to answer.
He's a great man, and I know he's leading us to the right area that we're going to, and I really believe that he's going to take us there, and with his wise words and with his push this coming week, I know it's going to be good for us.
All his one more times and another run.
It'll all be worth it.
It'll all be worth it.
One more time out on the field. Talk to me a little bit. I know this past week, Pigskin's going to be taking place at Boca Stadium in Harlingen, and you all actually had an opportunity to go to the stadium and practice. What was that like?
It was great going out there and getting to see the place that we were going to perform at. Obviously, we don't have a game there in Harlingen before Pigskin, but it was great to go out there and kind of see some of the focal points. The Boca Stadium is a lot smaller than Wildcat Stadium, so it was great to see, okay, where do we need to be? Where do our instruments need to be pointed? What are our focal points?
If you can, tell us what the judges look for in that kind of competition for the ones that don't know much about how all that happens.
If anything, it's a music contest first. Not that they don't care about the marching, but we're a band. We're not we're a marching band, but it's music first. They're looking for music. They're looking about how we execute things while we're marching. They're just looking for, music.
All right, guys. Well, thank you very much. We're going to let you go. Y'all can rest up. I know you have a performance tonight. In front of the crowd here, it'll be Harlingen versus Weslaco East, and also we'll bring up the Wildcat Regiment Drumline one more time at the end of our pregame show right here. But right now, let's talk a little bit about the other Pigskin football. Thanks a lot, guys. We'll let you exit the stage right now. Good luck, and break a leg. I know y'all have a competition tomorrow as well, and then, of course, next week we have Pigskin, which will take place on October the 22nd. Harlingen versus Weslaco East. Harlingen comes into this game at 3-0, 4-2 on the season, but they're 3-0 in district, and Weslaco East is 1-2. So, yeah, this is a game, Mike, that is very, very important for the Wildcats tonight, taking on always the tough teams from Harlingen, as they're one of the top teams in the Rio Grande Valley. You know, them and San Benito, and both of them happen to be in 32-6A, the one with Weslaco and Weslaco East.
Right. And keep in mind, Carlos, this is the very first time that Weslaco East has faced Harlingen High. So a little bit of history in the making here. I expect this to be a great game, just like last week against Los Fresnos, just like the week before against San Benito. You know, the Wildcats have lost 2 in a row, but for combined 7 points.
Right.
I mean, this team could be 3-0 in district right now. And the game earlier in the season against Edinburgh Economides, they lost by 7 points. So in the 3 losses, they have lost by combined 14 points. So, I mean, just a play here, a play there, a break here, a break there, and this team would be undefeated.
They could be totally undefeated. They were ranked number 1 at one point early on in the season. They lost last week. They were up 13-0 against Los Fresnos at the half, ended up losing that game by a score of 17-16. Weslaco East, they are going in through that little meat grinder that we talk about. They're having their own little meat grinder because they played Weslaco, then they played number 1 San Benito, they played number 6 Los Fresnos, and then tonight they played number 3 Harlingen.
Right, Carlos, and we expect this to be once again coming down to the end. That's what we all expect here. That's what, I know you and we talk, and that's what we expect too. And this is the meat grinder. We're right in the thick of the District 32-6A schedule, and they've played nothing but teams that are ranked in the top 10 in the poll, and yet, they still find themselves in position to win in every game. So, I mean, I expect them to be right in the thick of it at the end. I mean, Weslaco High gave Harlingen High a run for the money last week, 13-7. What the Wildcats need to do is get back to the same passion, same intensity that they had against Weslaco High in Tinaco Bowl number 5.
And I'm pretty sure they'll be coming out and playing with a chip on their shoulder tonight because, this is kind of a must-win for Weslaco East. Leo Tienda, he's still the go-to guy. He was the go-to guy last year for the Harlingen Cardinals, but he's not the only one on the team.
Right. They have another guy named Abel Castañeda who comes into this game of 249 yards rushing. So they do have other weapons, but, I mean, they have weapons everywhere. They always do year in and year out. That's just Cardinal football for you right there, the big red machine. And yet, Leo Tienda, he hasn't been healthy all season long. He's missed 1 game, but after his shoulder injury, they've kind of brought him in slowly, but, I mean, he's still doing well, rushing for 500 yards in 5 games. So, those are the 2 guys you need to stop. And on defense, they're always very aggressive and very fast. I mean, with Coach Manny Gomez, they always have a great game plan.
The tradition will be here. The Harlingen traditional that Harlingen has, the Big Red, we'll see them here for the first time taking on Weslaco East. Roy Pedraza, he's been kind of the go-to guy for Weslaco East. He's one of those powerful runners, a junior running back, a state championship power lifter. He's been their go-to guy, but Fabian Castro is coming back off of an injury, and he might be seeing a little bit more action tonight.
Yeah, we hope so, Carlos. I hope Fabian is 100% healthy. I mean, he has had some carries the last few weeks, but we don't know if he's 100% healthy or not. But we think he is right about now. So if you have Castro 100% healthy, and then you have Roy Pedraza, who is red hot right now, those are 2 weapons back there that you have, that can help you score, along with Jeff Lefevre. The last 3 games when Castro was either limited or didn't play, Pedraza's rushed for 431 yards. He had 200 yards last week, so he's been the go-to guy.
Yeah, and don't count out J.C. Vargas, also another powerful weapon. And then, of course, you got Lefevre, Jeff Lefevre, who can throw the ball down the field. He can run with the ball as well, so look out for Lefevre as well. Let's take a look at the standings now in 32-6A because, yes, it is very, very tight in this district, you could say. You do have right there at the top, you got San Benito and Harlingen, both of these teams that are undefeated. Hanna comes into the mix as well with only one district loss. And then 4 teams right there, all vying for that 4th playoff spot, and Weslaco East in the mix, along with Harlingen South and Los Fresnos. So it's going to come down to some very, very tight, very, very difficult games here, and who knows who's going to get that 3rd and 4th playoff spot. But still a lot of football to be played.
A lot of football, Carlos, but you got to get the wins where you can get them. Every single win is going to be crucial from here and out. So, yeah, even tonight, next week, the week after, up until the last game, any win you could get, it's like a playoff win in my mind.
And it seems like it. Every single game is like a playoff game, like you said.
Absolutely.
Because every Friday night or Saturday night, it's a tough game. And it's almost like college football. You got to win week in and week out if you want to be in that mix for that playoff spot or a district championship as the season comes to an end. Weslaco East, they kind of have a really tough run right now, like we talked about earlier. But after this game, they have Rivera, Harlingen South, and Hanna. And still Harlingen South and Hanna, still no gimmies for them.
I mean, we can say perhaps that this is the quote-unquote softer part of the schedule. I mean, I don't want to, disrespect the other schools, but,
Sure.
The
Talking
teams.
about the Rivera game, after tonight.
People would think like the Brownsville, Hanna, Harlingen South, before the season, but now those guys are, tough guys to play now. And then Brownsville, Rivera's rebuilding. But again, the Wildcats were playing teams that were ranked in the top 10 so far in the district schedule every single week. So, I mean, they've really had to work hard and hang in there just to be in the game, and they have been. They've been right there. So after this week, we'll see what direction they go.
All right, let's take a look at action that is going on the rest of 32-6A, the meat grinder district. That's what we call it, and it is 32-6A action. And yes, once again, Weslaco, yes, they're going to be the favorites tomorrow night, Saturday. That game will be live on Facebook, on our KWES Facebook page. Weslaco High at Brownsville Rivera. On paper, it looks like the Panthers can win that game.
On paper, it looks good, Carlos, but they do need to play. They got to make sure to keep that in mind, that it's not a gimme. They still got to go in there on a Saturday at Brownsville. They got to go in there and take care of business. What I didn't realize, Carlos, when I was taking notes earlier in the week, was that the running back, Mike Martin, was the first back to rush over 100 yards, first Panther this year to rush over 100 yards, and I find that mind-boggling in a Tony V system. I mean, I've covered games where, they've had a back or two that would rush 100 yards in one quarter. So,
Absolutely.
But what happens is that Coach Tony, he likes to find his back early in the season, so you have 6, 7 guys running the ball, but now he's kind of shrinked that a little bit to about 3 or 4 quality
Sure.
backs that's going to carry him the rest of the season.
And in that offense, they do like to spread the ball around a lot, so you will see lots of players get the ball, but they might have found their horse in Michael Martin because, yes, a big game last week against the Harlingen Cardinals. San Benito at Harlingen South, and that's going to be another good one. No gimme for San Benito. Yes, they are maybe the class of 32-6A, but Harlingen South, this is a team that is 1-2 in district play, and they can play with anybody, Mike.
Yeah, that's right, Carlos. Harlingen South has proven they can play with anybody. They started the year 3-0. They've dropped 2 out of the last 3 on tough games, but now they have San Benito in town, and that's a big game for San Benito on the road. That I could remember, Carlos. This is the best team that San Benito has had since 2004, when Coach Mario Peña, who's now retired, was the head coach there, and their team went unbeaten in the regular season, and then went to the 3rd round against, I believe it was Smithson Valley in the Alamo Dome, a huge crowd there, and they had all state players in that team. They had a 2,000-yard rusher, a 1,000-yard rusher. I mean, they were a great team. And also something else that I thought I'd mention, that year they played Harlingen in the last game of the year in the Battle of the Arroyo, and guess what? Last game of the year,
Yep.
San Benito against Harlingen.
Yep. Absolutely. Again, this year is
Correct.
what's going to happen. No Mario Peña, but certainly they are going to have that game at the final game, which will be an awesome game there between San Benito and Harlingen. Brownsville Hanna at Los Fresnos. Los Fresnos is a team that is on the rise. They're 1-2 in district, but remember they had 4 players that didn't play for various reasons. Those guys played last week. They played lights out. They came back and they beat Weslaco, and so they beat Weslaco East. So this is a team that's kind of on a roll.
Yeah, that's right, Carlos. Kind of like with Weslaco East, Los Fresnos were a team that weren't getting the big play, weren't getting the breaks. Certain things were going their own way. And last week they came in here and were down 13-0 to Weslaco East, and were able to come back to put themselves back in a district race. And for Brownsville-Hanna, I mean, that's a team that's gaining respect every single week. It seems like they're getting more and more respect. If I'm part of that team, or if I'm the coaching staff, I feel like, man, I could play with anybody right now. Bring it on. So that's a team right there that's growing. Those are two programs, Carlos, that have 2 first-year head coaches and that are growing.
All right, and let's move on to the Mid-Valley game, because there's really only one game to look at here in the Mid-Valley in 32-5A, and that's Ed Cal-Chelsea versus Mercedes. The Yellow Jackets traveled to the jungle in that game. I don't know what happened to Ed Cal-Chelsea last week. They were on a roll. They seemed like they were one of the top teams in the Rio Grande Valley, and then they're upset by Brownsville Vets. What happened in that game, Mike?
Well, Carlos, let me tell you what happened. Ed Cal-Chelsea dubbed themselves a hole early in the first half. They allowed 36 points, and you know, when you allow 36 points in the first half, I mean, that's going to be too much to come back. And you know, Brownsville Vets had a back that went over 200 yards rushing, and had another back that almost had 200 yards rushing. So that offense had about 500 yards altogether. The Yellow Jackets cannot let that happen against a tough Mercedes Tiger offense, who in the last 3 wins have averaged 33 points per game. In the 3 losses against Weslaco, Cal Allen, and McAllen Rowe, the Tigers averaged 11 points. So there you go. That's the difference right there.
That's going to be a great game. Last year, Mercedes won that one. Aldo Garcia, they're building statues of him over there in Mercedes because he kicked a 49-yard field goal to beat Ed Cal-Chelsea last year in Ed Cal-Chelsea as time expired. We'll see what happens tonight in that game. All right, we are here at Bobby Lackey Stadium, where, yes, tonight we have Weslaco East and Harlingen, the Cardinals, in town here, undefeated in district play against the Wildcats. The Wildcats want to try to get a victory here tonight after coming off a loss last week against Los Fresnos. It's now time to bring in our guest tonight, and we have one of the original members of the Weslaco East Wildcats. This is Rene Hinojosa, who is in the house.
Come on in, RT.
Better known as Rene.
Hey guys, good to be here.
Hinojosa, and the reason why we brought him on board for a couple of reasons. First of all, RT, I want to bring up something, see if you remember this, but let's see if you guys can get a shot, because this is the original helmet.
Look at that beauty.
The original helmet that Weslaco East.
Look at that.
And you have a special bond to this helmet and this logo here.
Absolutely. I was telling the gentleman earlier, it was my father and I who created the logo. When Weslaco East first started, we didn't have anything to go off of, and so they put out a little contest, and so I was one of the submissions, and we were lucky enough to get it. So here it is, standing proud. Still looks beautiful today.
Yeah, it sure does. RT, by the way, is a graduate of Weslaco East High School 2005 and a graduate of the University of Texas 2009, and now he works at, that's right,
Welcome.
big time UT, and he also played for the Longhorns as well.
Correct.
And now, after graduating from UT, he works for Doctors Hospital at Renaissance.
That's why I'm wearing pink. It's breast cancer awareness. Today's our Wear Pink Day. For women watching, please, I urge you to go get screened. It's not worth the risk, so please get out there.
Yeah, great word there, RT.
you.
RT, who played DT and went to UT, huh? Isn't that cool?
That's actually, yeah. Yeah, so in high school, I was a linebacker, defensive tackle, and a defensive end.
All
and then went to UT, and unfortunately just wasn't fast enough to be a linebacker. But and I was just big enough and just good enough to fortunately, to make the team as a defensive end. And let's just say I took a couple hard hits and wake up in the morning a little sore, a little weird, but it's okay.
There you go.
Yeah.
No, we understand that you were the brains behind that logo. You know, just kind of talk to us about how you were approached by it, and you know, just what made you choose that style that you chose.
You know, it's near and dear to my heart. Growing up, I was kind of a dork, but whatever, right? I used to watch this show called The Thundercats. I don't know if any of you guys remember it, but if you do,
yes,
fantastic.
We got some guys out here.
Thundercats are on the
So
loose.
if you ever watch the show, the logo's kind of similar. Playing Little League football, my father and I designed our other logo for the Cougars. And so when this opportunity came about, we already had a solid foundation to go off of. And so it took us about 2 weeks to actually draw this out, put it in the computer simulation, and tweak it little by little until we had a support from a little committee that we did within the family. It was an interesting endeavor, but yeah, we submitted it, and we were fortunate enough to get the votes of the school, because it was a school vote, and so here it stands.
Yeah, and y'all also actually used a lot of purple. Right now, it's mostly black for Weslaco East, a little bit of purple maybe trended into the uniforms. But
Correct.
back then, it was almost all purple and black pants.
Right. Yep.
Something
So
like that.
back then it was black with a heavy purple and white trim, and as the years progressed, we are now the mighty black and white fighting machine that you know us now.
Beautiful, beautiful. You know, RT, you played when the program opened. You were a 3-year starter from 2002 to 2004. You know, those days were, you know, a little rough because you guys were just building a foundation. I mean, that's what it was all about. You know, not a lot of people understand how difficult you guys had it. I mean, you guys had to do a lot of, you know, building. Just talk to us about the experience.
You know, those were some very long seasons. Those 3 seasons. I remember our first year. We were a lot of schools' homecoming. Sophomore year, all we had was juniors. We had no seniors. We went 2-8. Unfortunately, we trained extremely hard. Junior year came about. We got a little bit better. It wasn't until our senior year where the program started to really mold together. The coaches were more comfortable with us. The team came together as a unit, and we were able to finally get that 4-3 season to really set the foundation for where we are now.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And I remember those years because I was working for KWES at the time. My brother was on the coaching staff. He was the defensive coordinator. He was
Ronnie.
your coach as well.
Yep, great
and,
guy.
And I remember that first victory that Weslaco East got, the second year in existence.
Roma. Yep, I'll
And
never forget that game. Absolutely.
It was raining, a downpour in Roma, lightning all over the place, and the Wildcats won that game 6-0. They still had the football in the trophy case over there at Weslaco East High School. Tell us a little bit about what is going on today. Obviously very successful. That's one of the reasons why we have you on the set. Talk to us a little bit about your duties at DHR.
Yeah, sure. So, like I said, I graduated from UT, and I immediately segued into healthcare. I've been at DHR for going on 7 years now.
Nice.
And I've worked my way up to what's called a senior project manager. And so essentially what I do is I develop business lines, improve service lines to either try to create and or save for the bottom line while simultaneously expanding healthcare for those most in need while looking at our quality metrics. Because for those of you who know healthcare, it's just a crazy system
Absolutely.
out there.
Right now it's...
Yeah, and we're regulated extremely heavy. So anything we can do to improve quality, it's guys like us in the background really helping push that goal.
You going to stay for the game tonight? Have you been to some games lately?
You know, I have, and every time I come, it's always super late. And so the love that the city has for this team is outstanding, and it makes my heart swell with pride to see the backing that we've had year after year. And what I'm trying to say is that it's impossible to get into the stadium during game time and you get here late. So I usually end up watching for a little bit, then I get discouraged and I go.
Right.
But, you know, every time I hear that we win, it's
awesome.
It's always a great day.
And I know you have to have a lot of pride when you tell people I graduated from Weslaco East, graduated from UT, especially right now, the way Weslaco East has been playing lately. They're in the playoffs 9 of the last 10 years, something like that.
Absolutely. Every time I run into Coach Guzman, who's one of the original coaches who's still here, you know, I just give him a big bear hug and I just tell him how proud I am of him for sticking it through and really getting the program to where it is now. And just when I first found out that the powerlifting team won state, and then I found out one state again, and then I found out that we were going to district, and I was like, it's
crazy.
Yeah, it was a great day.
Absolutely.
So how does it make you feel when you hear all those accomplishments, you know, that they're having today in the recent years? And I mean, you guys were kind of, you know, you started all that, you know what I mean?
Knowing that we laid some bricks, you know, on the foundation and how heavy those bricks were, it's very nice to see a beautiful home on top of the foundation.
There you go, beautiful.
That's a great way to play, to end it. And it is Weslaco East tonight. We're going to bring the Wildcat Regiment band or drumline. Come on back. Y'all can start playing right away as we're going to go ahead and wrap up this show. Go ahead and get started, guys, because tonight it will be Weslaco East taking on the Harlingen Cardinals, and we'll see what happens. It will have the Wildcat Regiment. They are playing tonight at halftime. Good luck to them next week at Pigskin. We'll see you after the game. For RT, Mike Gonzalez, I'm Carlos Robledo. So long, everybody.